2022 meeting of the Finance Committee to order. First on the agenda is attendance with a roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Here.
Counselor Sullivan,
Here.
Counselor Matthews Kane here. Also in attendance is Marissa Colon from the City Clerk's office. She's the scribe. Robert Bishop from Personnel. Chris Willenberg from the airport. Fran Kane from DPW. Mark Crosati from engineering. Chief from the police department. Counselor Adams. Steve Malacheb from emergency management. Chief Egloff from the fire department, Counselor Figgy, Counselor Mello, Counselor Burns, Counselor Oniski, and Kathleen Raj Hillman from the school committee. Thank you. I'd like to announce this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the Westfield Community Programming on YouTube. Is anyone in the meeting also recording? Probably not. All right. Next on the agenda is acceptance of previous meeting minutes from January 18th, 22. Any comments, changes, or corrections to the minutes?
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, seeing none, roll call vote to approve the minutes. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Okay, so next we come to public participation. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the Finance Committee? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone? Going once, going twice? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the next item, which is emergency management. It's regarding the appropriation of $2,000 from free cash to emergency management department as follows: $1,700 for the purchase of services and $300 for supplies account. And yes, Steve, there you are.
Yes, I am.
So can you explain this appropriation for us?
Well, I mean, emergency management is the most underfunded department we have, and there's actually a lot that needs to be done. If you take into consideration that we are surrounded by water, we are surrounded by railroad tracks, and we're surrounded by hazardous materials like ammonia up in the north end, you know, you really need to reach out to people. I mean, my goal is to have everybody in an area that is in a possible harm's way to sign up for our 911 system so that they can have emergency alerts. So you need printing materials. I ran a CERT class last year, and because there was no account, I mean, I actually paid for all the items that I needed to run that CERT class. I got 15 more people standing by to do another CERT class, and that should be funded by the department, not me personally. So there are some items there. I have acquired a new emergency management vehicle for the city, which will also be available to the police department. It's a Humvee. It was the UMass vehicle. They no longer could use it. So it's been transferred with Senator Vilas's assistance to the city of Westfield at no charge. So now we have a emergency management vehicle again, because I've been using mine since I took this job on. And so now we'll have a new vehicle. It's very well outfitted. I think the police will be able to use it for quite a few events as well.
Okay, and I don't think though, is the Humvee on the agenda tonight though? Is it just the purchase of services and the
Yes,
supply
yeah.
account? Okay, so specifically the supplies are, you mentioned printing materials?
Printing materials, yeah. Events that we do to, city events that we're out there for, handing out pamphlets and things for people and so forth, to get them to sign up and know what's going on in the city. It's all about getting the people prepared for when it happens. I mean, we escaped again with this snowstorm. The chief had called me. We were ready if we needed to, we'd have a shelter, but we escaped again. But sooner or later, we're going to run out and we're not going to escape a major event. So we need to have our citizens prepared.
Okay, and specifically the request for 1,700 for the purchase of services, can you just touch on specifically what that's for?
Well, again, a total budget of $2,000 for a department like this. I mean, I don't know what expenses are coming up because we've had no money, so I haven't done anything. Anything that I was able to obtain through FEMA for free of charge, I got that stuff. Like I said, there's some things that I would like to accomplish. Will we use it all? Probably not, but then again, maybe we will, depending on, what comes about.
Okay.
I mean, our purchasing department has been actually carrying the phone bill for the emergency management. They want to be reimbursed. That's $46 a month. So I already owe Tammy about 7 months worth. So
Okay.
some of that money is going back to her.
Okay. And do other counselors have questions?
No, the only question I had, I just don't remember. Did this come in from the previous administration or did this come in from Mayor McCabe?
Previous.
Okay.
Okay. Any others? Any
No.
other questions? All right. Go ahead.
Nope,
Oh,
go ahead.
Looking for a motion to approve the appropriation of 2,000 from free cash to emergency management department as follows: 1,700 purchase of services account and $300 supplies account.
So move.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. So appropriation is approved 3-0. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
counselors.
I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank
Steve,
you.
if I can,
Yes.
through the chair, Steve, just for further reference too, start having conversations with the mayor about your budget. We can, the council can only approve or not approve monies in front of us. So as far as appropriations go, it's just not our gig. So just wanted to make sure that you're having those conversations with the mayor and not so much with council or the podium and so forth. You need to get to the mayor and talk about a budget.
Well, I understand that, Mr. President, and I had conversations with the previous administration, and they never went anywhere. So
Okay.
Under the new administration, yes, I hope to work with the new mayor quite closely.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, it's to approve the acceptance of a grant in the amount of $41,600 from MassDOT Aeronautics Division to the Airport Department. And Chris, you're here. Could you talk?
Sure, absolutely. Madam Chair, good evening. My name is Chris Willenborg, Airport Manager for Westfield Regional Airport. Mass DOT Aeronautics Division has a sustainability grant program that the airport submitted a grant request to purchase an electric zero-turn mower. I think some of you have heard probably too many times now, we have over 650 lights, over 80 signs out on the airfield that require a tight turning zero-turn mower to complete the mowing activities on the airfield. So in our efforts to be more sustainable at the airport, we were able to submit a grant. The grant was accepted. There's no local share, so it's 100% funded through MassDOT Aeronautics. We utilized a state contracting program. Tammy Teft helped us with that. So the key thing with this project is the delivery of the zero-turn mower needs to be done by June 30th, which we've confirmed with the vendor. We'll probably receive it several months before that date. So we just respectfully request support of the Finance Committee of this appropriate grant acceptance.
I would move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
All right. Next is the acceptance of a grant in the amount of $17,807.87 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security Office and the Department of Fire Services to the Westfield Fire Department. Chief, good
How
evening.
you doing?
I'm
Good
good, thank you.
evening.
How are you?
Good. So the Westfield Fire Department has been awarded a grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security and the Department of Fire Services for the sum of $17,807.87. These funds will be used to purchase a self-contained breathing apparatus fit tester so that we can be both NFPA and OSHA compliant. We will also purchase an extra set of gloves and a Nomex hood for each member of our department. All of these items will help to reduce the harm that cancer-causing carcinogens can do to our firefighting personnel by limiting their risk from the byproducts of the combustion process. There is no match to the grant, but I will have to use existing funds from the fire department operating budget to make up the difference between the quote and what we have been awarded. The quote came in at $20,150, and this is the number that I wrote the grant for. The grant this year was highly competitive. I will have to use $2,342.13 out of the existing fire department operating budget. In the past several years, we have purchased structural firefighting gear extractors as the first step in cancer prevention, and this purchase will allow the department to protect our men and women to an even greater extent.
Thank you. Do either counselors have any questions?
Nope, I think he explained the match, so.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the acceptance of the grant?
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief. Be
you.
good.
Okay, next up is engineering. This is an appropriation for 930,000. Oh, there he is, 930,000 from free cash to engineering construction account for the following projects. 600,000 for the paving of Holyoke Road and 330,000 for the paving of Union Street, Union Avenue, Neck Road. This amends the previous request of 1,500,000. Mr. Crisati, can you?
Thank you.
explain?
So if you might recall, about 6 months ago, a little over, the city was presented a budget of, I presented a budget to Mayor Humison for $3 million, just under $3 million. And he cut it in half to about $1,450,000. And then with city council deliberations, it was cut another $1 million down to $450,000. About $1 million of that was supplemented back in from the stabilization account, but the intent and the need for engineering and just for paving. You may recall about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we did a presentation to City Council identifying needs for pavement management to the tune of around $4 million. We get about just over $1.25 million from Chapter 90. So that leaves $3 million needed to then supplement. The request for $1.5 million would have restored the budget then to the $3 million. The new mayor, Mayor McCabe, had other priorities for some of that money. So the request was amended to what you see.
So this request is from Mayor McCabe then?
It has been amended by Mayor McCabe.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know the original request. So did Union Street get truncated in the sense of paving? Is that what ended up
Yes.
happening?
Yes.
And you're okay with that piece? Is it? I mean, you're probably not okay with it, but is it in
Brent,
decent
you
shape?
know,
Where
you do the best you can with what you're given. So that's
Yeah,
what we're
okay.
going to do.
do we know where that line is, Mark?
I believe it's the Springdale traffic signal, the new work that was done at the traffic signal. I believe
Okay.
from there on is what was cut out, but I would have to, you should have the letter in front of you, and it was broken out by segment. So that should clarify what the mayor's, I believe that should clarify where the mayor's coming from.
And are these quotes in hand, Mark, these numbers?
Yes,
Okay, so these shouldn't be estimates then. They should be hard numbers.
that's correct.
Okay, when are they figuring to start work?
Once we get a vote of the city council, I'll be contacting the vendors to line up when they get started. It'll be, as soon as we can in the spring.
Okay, great.
There is drainage work involved on Holyoke Road before the paving occurs. As well, the paving will probably hold off until the water line improvements for the new water filtration plant are are completed. So that'll be, a dynamic situation. Would you like more on that?
No, I think I'm good. I just always worry that, when projects get put out for what good, even for good reasons, the costs tend to go up. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, motion made and seconded. So roll call vote in favor of the appropriation. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Next, approval of a transfer of $38,387.15 from police towing and storage account to the police equipment vehicle account for the purchase of replacing the Administrative Detective Bureau vehicle. And we have the chief and Captain.
And Captain Petonia, good evening, counselors. We have a 2009 Ford Taurus that's not completely, but the majority of it is rusted out. It's not a bad running car, but the rust has overtaken the integrity of the vehicle. From our towing and storage account, which is designed for this purpose to be able to replace or purchase a new vehicle, we're looking to get rid of that 2009 and replace it with a 2022 Ford Edge. Again, the car is 13 years old and it just needs replacement. We have more than enough money in there to do it. Should have ample money left over as well.
Do you have a rough number what's left, chief, or?
I'm gonna say 45, 50, maybe. Within 5,000 of that, I would say.
Does the 38,000 cover everything in terms of sometimes you got to do different detail work or light bars or anything?
That's the total package.
That's all in? Okay.
Just a quick side question, chief, is, and I know we've had this towing company for quite some time. Are we adjusting fees structures to the company, or how many more years do we have with this company? Is there a process that we can do to, happy or not, I'm just curious about what it costs. And are we getting reimbursed appropriately for this kind of stuff?
We're getting reimbursed, to our satisfaction. We don't want to push it up too high because I think the total package for the person that needs the tow isn't all that appealing. So, I certainly wouldn't want to push our numbers any more than they are and have it put on the citizen. So we're satisfied with it.
Okay.
Just Madam Chair, just in terms of what happens with the trade-ins, I know it's been different times. Is there any trade-in value or is it already reflected in this price?
What we do is we throw it over to Tammy and then she gets she'll put it at auction and that money goes back into the general fund. Before, when we were trading them in, we were getting killed. We weren't getting anything close to the value of the vehicles. So now that we've changed that process, it's been a lot more lucrative for the city.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there are no further questions, can I have a motion to approve the transfer of the $38,387.50 from police towing and storage account to the police equipment vehicle account for the purchase of replacing the Administrative Detective Bureau vehicle?
So move.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
keep
Chief.
moving
Thank you.
along. Looking, this is for the approval of an appropriation of $20,000 from free cash to the Personnel Department Purchase of Services account to modernize methods of posting open positions. And we have Mr. Bishop with us. Hello.
Good
Can you-
evening, everyone. I don't think it's any secret right now. You can watch the news, read the newspaper, and there's stories everywhere about our job market and hiring issues across, I think, every sector. I don't think it has to be municipal government. Everybody's having issues post-COVID of hiring right now. For the city of Westfield, our posting and canvassing methods have been outdated. We're talking about posting in newspapers or simply just posting on the city website, which is difficult because today's job market uses central hubs such as Indeed, Glassdoor, Facebook even, in order to conduct job searches and to put the resumes out there and to conduct that hiring process with an organization. Unfortunately, these cost, and it's never been budgeted before with the city of Westfield, but with the hiring issues we're having across all jobs for the city, we feel the need to appropriate money so that we can start using these modern methods in order to reach our job market, to increase the number of applicants we have, and to increase our likelihood of hiring as we move forward with these. If you take Indeed, for example, for entry-level positions with the city, you're looking at spending roughly $150 to $300 per job posting, and that'll normally net you about 20 to 30 applicants. 10 to 15 of those are qualified applicants, giving our department heads an actual opportunity to bring in some qualified candidates. If you're looking at supervisor and director level, you're looking at about $350 each per, and that price can increase. And this is because of the different methods you have to use in order to search and find the technical skills, be it a higher level of college education, certifications across the board, things like that. So we're looking to appropriate $20,000 to cover us so that we can start marketing and canvassing these areas that we need to in order to find the candidates that we need to fill the city jobs.
And will this bring us up to the next budgeting season? Should this be enough?
Yes, moving forward, I believe this will. I would argue that this might be a little over what we need now, but given the market, and we have done a few test cases with some of the open positions where we scrounged together cash. And I will tell you right now, for those two, it was animal control and emergency dispatch, two of our harder to fill positions. They absolutely got some great candidates. They're in the middle right now of interviewing. It definitely paid off, excuse the pun. Moving forward with the 2023 budget, yes, we do absolutely plan to throw this in there and make this a yearly cost so that we can continue to use these platforms to find candidates for open positions.
I will certainly support this and allow you to do your job under the current technologies. Can you just kind of track over the next, 6 months, or at least the end of this budget, the response that you're getting, both in terms of numbers, but I'm actually more interested in qualified applicants and how many we actually hire. And, this won't happen in 6 months, but maybe long-term, how many of those become long-term city employees as opposed to bouncing from job to job, just so we can track the effectiveness of this method?
Absolutely. That's one of the benefits of using Indeed or Glassdoor, is that they provide you those hard metrics that you need, at least from the hiring standpoint. And then after they are hired, we can watch them for the life cycle of their employment and see how many of them pan out, how many of them are staying, what the turnover is. We can absolutely get you those metrics.
Great. Thank you.
Robert, how many open positions do we have right now?
Currently for the city, roughly 20.
And that's the ones that are budgeted right now, correct?
That's correct.
Right, no additional. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, if not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the appropriation of $20,000 from free cash to the Personnel Department Purchases of Services account to modernize methods of posting open positions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
You too,
Robert.
Robert.
Next up, we should have Mr. Kane. Aaron Kane.
Hi.
Hi. Are you going to be audio or video?
No video. I actually have Steve Fernandez, the Deputy of Water Division, with me in close proximity, as well as Joanna Williams, Budget Analyst.
Excellent. And can that be noted in the minutes? Thank you. Okay, so this is to approve the appropriation of $100,000 from free cash to Department of Public Works Waste Collection and Disposal Division for the following anticipated expenses: $85,000 to purchase of services, $13,000 to overtime, and $2,000 to out-of-grade account.
Yes.
So can you explain this, please?
Okay, so purchase of services would be, in this case, is for the disposal of the refuse over at Casella. And that is $85,000. And then we have overtime, which is historically underfunded, or has been underfunded, like since FY15 through present. And obviously overtime occurs when you have snowstorms and holidays and such, and the trash has to be picked up on, on a Saturday, and or, the guys work over past 3 to maybe finish their routes. And the other thing that kind of falls into the overtime category, it would be out of grade, which we have the foreman of that division is leaving, and we have to pay out of grade for one of the guys to fill in for him. And you can't fill that position till he's gone. So basically, it's kind of a terminal leave situation where he's using, unused vacation and personal days and things like that. So sometimes it takes a while before that person is actually off the payroll, and then you're allowed to hire and fill the position. So that's where the out of grade for foreman falls in.
Okay. Okay.
Just a quick question, Franny, is it because of cost of disposal that's gone up, or are we seeing it just?
I think in this, it went, it's based on tonnage, obviously. I think we went from 83.50 from $82 a ton.
80, I say that again, 83.50
Yeah, 83.50
to 80.
No, it was 82. I'm saying it backwards. It was $82 per ton, and it's gone to $83.50 per ton.
Got it. Great, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so looking for a motion to approve the appropriation of $100,000 from free cash to Department of Public Works Waste Collection and Disposal Division for the following anticipated expenses: $85,000 to purchase of services, $13,000 to overtime, and $2,000 to out of grade.
Actually, through the chair again, just one quick question, and I'll make a motion. I'm going to support this. This particular money's free cash. Now, most of these numbers in my mind are kind of recurring. So any plan out there for July 1 on how you're going to address these kind of situations? Because I would assume the disposal of the tonnage isn't going to go down unless I'm thinking the wrong way.
Correct, but you kind of have to gauge what your tonnage is going to be. It's not, you can get some historical numbers, but you don't know exactly, that someone's going to throw their anvil or something away, and increase the tonnage. I say that jokingly, of course, but yeah, so you can get some historical numbers of what it is. Plus, if you fully fund it, do you have the money to fully fund it? So I think that's just kind of no game that's played at times that, okay, well, let's not fully fund this, even though that you're gonna, have to, I think the gas and electric bills are kind of played like that at times, that, you just find the money in towards the end of the year.
And as far as overtime piece, I'm assuming the same kind of thing, right? Are you down? I know you're down positions.
That one's pretty good for the most part, but it's definitely a concern. That's an aged workforce population up there, to quite the upper end of things. So yes, I think we're going to be in a bit of a predicament up there, and that some decisions have to be made, and where we're going to go with that.
Okay. Can we please encourage people to recycle their anvils?
Yeah. But that does bring up a good point, because it's not uncommon for them to go to dump out in a truck, and they do their darndest to catch everything. But, where someone has snuck a tire in there, or the recyclable content is high and the refuge disposal, and then we're charged for that. So those are the kind of things that, we have to be pretty diligent about, because they will charge you for those items, or reject the load, or take the load and charge you more for it.
Thanks,
Where does our fee lay out in the sense of trash?
That's that one that's always, I've heard of multiple ways that it was set up for the closing of the landfill, and that it's an illegal fee, and it certainly doesn't cover our expenses.
Right.
By any means. And then you have the whole issue of people having way more barrels than they should have, and they're only paying, the one fee for the one barrel, but they say they can't fit all their stuff in one barrel. So you have a household that, it's not uncommon, could have 3 barrels, that's.
So you're saying, like, and I've seen it on the curb, I've seen people with multiple barrels. You're saying that they're only paying one fee if they've got multiple barrels?
Yes, a typical, single household would definitely be paying one fee. And there's a variety of reasons why this happened long before our watch, but that the barrels were just kind of handed out and not done correctly, I suppose, and who should have what, and, people move out and, then come down and get another barrel. So, you've got, that's a problem.
I was under the impression that if you had 2 barrels, you're paying 2 fees.
No.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone make a motion?
Go ahead.
No, I thought you did.
Yeah, I think it was already on the floor. So.
Oh, it's already on the floor. My apologies.
Second.
Okay. Then roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, and all of these are for DPW. Next is appropriation of $793,770 from Department of Public Works Sewer and Wastewater Division to the following accounts: $643,770 purchase of services account, $100,000 supplies account, $50,000 additional capital equipment. You talk about that?
Yep, just if I may, just as a point of clarification to our previous discussion on the barrels, some people are paying for 2 barrels and some aren't. And I think that's just a record keeping thing that's happened over the years and would take, some time to sort out. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, is that something that we could start at least clarifying?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's 1 or 2 people, that's one thing, but if it's hundreds or 100 people, it's another.
Right, and not to take away from the item 12 here, but yes, we do have an app that we developed to try and get a handle on our trash cans. It's all ready to go, but it takes time and personnel to have the tech savvy to be able to do it, to be quite honest with you, where we can go out with tablets, ahead of the trash trucks on their trash day, and we can gather that information and have it, and then we know who has what, down to the serial number of the trash can and the condition of the can. We do have that, and it's just, I need the people that would be able to do that, and that would be one of my goals in the coming year, would be to execute that and get that done. It would probably take me a month or so to do that if I had the proper people to accomplish it. And I can talk to you further more about that at some point, but I just want to add the clarification on the charges.
Great, thanks, Frank.
Okay, thanks. So can we turn back to number 12?
Yes, ma'am. So purchase of services, a portion of that's being requested is funds that'll be used to handle the underfunded expense for our sludge cake hauling vendor. And the additional needs of for gas and electric bills, and projects included for the design of the plant's dewatering upgrade, rust removal, painting of steel piping, and water lines underground in the pipe gallery by the clarifiers. Also pumping station upgrades for Ellis Street and Shaker Road locations. Hello?
That's all under purchases services?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the 643.
Yep, that's kind of that nugget there.
Okay.
Then you have
Supplies.
supplies, that's, you know, the usual suspects, chemicals, sodium aluminate, sodium bisulfate, needs for the remainder of the fiscal year. So obviously, you know, we're using chemicals every single day, and this allows us to you know, supply the get the chemicals as we need for the remainder of the year. And that's there again, that's one of those things that kind of gets underfunded, and or you might use more chemical because you had more water coming to the plant for a variety of reasons. You know, even when it comes in a flood situation, you still need to treat that, you know, to an acceptable level, and you still use those chemicals. So that puts an extra load or need for the consumption of chemicals. So that's. Yes, and then the additional capital equipment, that's the remainder of the 50,000. That's liquid for a liquid polymer blending system, processing module, and 2 units costing $24,255 each. And this again is, you know, we have a great, super great team down there with Jeff Gamelli and Ken Gagnon, and always looking to better the operation and make it more efficient, and spend, you know, and their funding that they do have more wisely and save where they can. Sometimes the you know, the outside world with increased prices kind of take away from that what they've saved, and would hope to have used it elsewhere to better the process. They definitely do a good job there.
Is that the large vats? Is that the blending system?
Like what if you could do an aerial view, those big those are the clarifiers. So this is a polymer blending system. It's more of a internal to the building.
I'm on mute anyways and no video, so it makes no difference. I'm just listening in. So whatever you want to
Steve,
do.
can you
fine.
mute yourself, please, Steve?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was
Okay.
muted.
No. Thanks.
So the blending system's on the inside of the building?
Yeah, it's a part of the processing module, kind of, you know, it's associated machinery for that.
Okay.
So the intake, you know, this is the polymers blended as as you know, as you collect and goes through the process.
Okay. And just, I mean, you said it's items that are historically underfunded. Is this because of the state finance laws that you can't spend more money than you took in last year, or at least was certified? Okay, so it's not that the city underfunded it. We funded a budget to meet the number that the state certified that you could spend.
Well, we could, and if you fully funded the chemicals, you know, taking away the thought that you're going to get the undesignated funding, you fully funded that, then you wouldn't have money for other things. So the new rate increase will definitely help that.
Let's hope. I think that was the argument for it, wasn't it? Okay. I got no other questions.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the appropriation of $793,770 from Department of Public Works, Sewer and Wastewater Division to the following accounts: $643,770 purchases services account, $100,000 supplies account, and $50,000 additional capital equipment account.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. So roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, another DPW. You're in the hot seat tonight.
Yeah, so this is for a transfer of monies to pay off-duty expenses exceeded our expectations with the early December water main break up on Western Ave, Phase 2. That would be just past High Street, where the contractor that's, doing the utility work prior to paving that road, severed 4 services in close proximity to one another, and that we did not know about. We're talking old, very old services. There was no documentation that they were there, and they were severed. And then it was found that that line could not be shut down as needed to make the repairs. And we also had some issues with continue to provide water to Noble Hospital so they could keep their surgery suite open. So, and the cold temperatures that followed the very next day. So we ended up spending a significant amount of money for overtime as well as to make the repair as well. So we're looking to transfer money over to be able to pay those, the off-duty expenses. Well, the officers are already paid, but we need to refund that account, replenish.
So just,
Counselor Sullivan, or sorry.
No, Counselor Bean, if you want to go, I'll yield the floor.
yeah, so Franny, you said 4 services, you're talking water services, correct?
Right, so they actually, what they were abandoned in place. Sometimes the 1 or 2 of them were just the corporation, which is where the service for a house would be made. And then some had some stubs coming off. So as the contractor came down, he was installing a drainage line, close proximity to the pipe. We're going to change things a little bit. Come this next construction season, where we're just going to, we know where the water main is, but where they're going to have to do a little bit more hand digging and probing, and the onus is going to be on them to, because they probably, and it was a large machine too. So I think some of his tactile feeling wasn't there as well, but he hit one and then hit the next one, and they were right next to each other, and it just ripped him right out. So you figure 3 or 4 3/4 inch lines adds up to a significant water leak.
So the contractor wouldn't have some kind of
No, because
ownership of this?
we did the dig safe, and I suppose you could fight this perhaps, but we basically, it didn't note that they were there. So typically, if you had a water service, going to someone's house, we're going to have ties to that. We're going to be able to say, here it's, within 18 or 24 inches, you're going to have to hand dig this or whatever, because we know where this service is. But in this case, we didn't even know they were there. So when he came down, he just severed those corporations right off the main. So no one was out of water. Those services were abandoned and they didn't go anywhere. But this, there again, this is something that today we wouldn't do that. We would, if a service was abandoned in place, we would have good ties to it and we would know that it was there, and we would be able to identify it. But in this case, we didn't have that. I mean, we're talking this, I know at least one of them was from the 50s perhaps, and one even older than that. I mean, the houses that they served aren't even there anymore.
So I'm a little confused as to why we spent any money to fix it then, if it's abandoned in place and it isn't providing service.
Well, because the contractor hit it and he had to stop work, and it was, we were bleeding water, so it had to be repaired.
So it wasn't abandoned then?
Yes, it was. They were literally just stubbed. When I say abandoned, the curbs were abandoned and not identified. Corporations, I'm sorry, on the pipe. So it's like you just shut a valve off on a pipe, took the service away, or the majority of the service away, and then you just filled it in, and you didn't say anything or didn't make any documentation of it, and just left it till we found it, 70 years later.
I actually saw this. This was in my ward right up the street from me. It was quite the gusher. So, but they were abandoned, but they were full of running water?
No. What they sheared off was the valve that was attached to the water main. They sheared those off. That's what was broke. And some were associated. There was, copper line or whatever coming off it to, some short distance away, but they shut the corporations off and just left them, which is typically not how we would do that now. certainly without not identifying them.
The way I'm thinking is that there was a service, the service was cut off. There's still a valve there that can turn that service on if it existed. So that's what broke.
Yes, exactly.
And then the water was coming from there. So this 75,000 represents us patching those particular valves.
All
or
that
pipe.
covers the police. There was another close to $40,000 in contractor expense and incidentals in this. So it was costly repair.
Okay.
Fran, you look like you're moving the money from insurance and full-time personnel. I'm assuming therefore there's at least somebody's position there that is not going to get filled between now and the end of the year. And somebody's certified that you got enough money in the health insurance account to pay for this?
Yes. Yes. It was verified with auditing as well as we have 3 vacancies in water.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to be back to us looking for insurance money?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Sorry if it was a little bit confusing on my explanation of the courts, and I'd probably just use in terms that we probably would more understand than someone else. So I apologize for that.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0.
I think we had it more broken down.
Again, another DPW. So this is the appropriation of $2,459,310 from Department of Public Works Water Division undesignated account to the following: $2,091,000, $91,110 to purchase of services account. $168,200 to supplies and $200,000 to equipment vehicles account.
Yes, so purchase of services, which is the biggest portion of that, a substantial amount of those funds are be appropriated for the underfunded expenses. You know, this is kind of, you hear this from us all the time. From the original budget requests, including necessary funding for gas and electric, water lab testing, pump maintenance, forestry management, fleet management, hydrant flushing, as required by the water, industry standards. And also request includes to pay off, which this is one of the bigger pieces. We're not going to utilize that bond that we took out for the Western Avenue Phase 2. We're just going to pay that in cash and be done with that. I think that's a good use of these funds. And we did talk about that potentially when we were asking for permission for the bond. In addition, monies will be used for the completion of projects that have been unable to be included in the annual budget, such as the freeze dry bed up at Southwick Water Treatment Plant. That's actually one we wanted to get done for a while, and it definitely needs to get done. And interior flooring and resealing that facility, the floor, the epoxy coated flooring in the filter bay needs to be redone. And additional anticipated tasks, including the completion of an office refurbishing at Sackett Street and the paving of the dirt parking lot that surrounds the garage down here at Sackett Street. And it's kind of a muddy mess down here at times. So that's kind of that, 30,000 view of that.
Can you just go back to the bond? What bond are we talking about? Was it already?
I had come and I had asked for 700,000 out of free cash. And then we went to, went to the bond effort, and that's paying from Lloyd's Hill basically down to the hospital. So water main upgrades and part of what the police work that we had just asked you for in the last round here, the police detail and that water main repair, it's all associated with that work.
So you just said we're not doing that piece now?
No, we are. Rather than execute the bond, we would like to just take the 700,000 out of here and just pay cash for it.
Right, so we're not doing the bond is my point.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I didn't mean that we're not doing the work is what I meant. We're gonna do
Oh,
the
right, no,
We're
the
gonna
bond
pay.
itself. Yeah, the borrowing, yep, okay. And just to reiterate, that's part of the 2.4 million, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Was there a vehicle involved here?
Yes, that was, well, we had supplies are part of this and then vehicles. So the vehicle that we're looking to purchase would replace our current consolidated response trailer, which I had years ago, it's probably 10 years ago now, had wanted a vehicle in lieu of the trailer, but was denied funding on that. So constructed a trailer, which has been very beneficial to us, where we have everything that we need for a main break or a hydrant replacement, whatever, be it trench boxes, tampers, whatever, is all within one entity. In this case, a trailer. The trailer is, it's worn out, and a truck really is what, because you need a truck and then a trailer and then a truck to pull it, is where we're looking to have this all one entity, kind of a box truck, if you will, that would have an enclosed area to store all the stuff for safe and secure transport and storage, as well as it would allow us a work area, lighted, heated, conditioned workspace, when you're working out in the elements to get inside. It's pretty common for a water utility our size to have something like this.
I'm good.
And that, excuse me, go ahead.
And what will you do with the vehicle that you're replacing? Because you said it,
The
trailer,
we sell the trailer just like we do. I think there's the auction just ended. There's like 9 vehicles down there now that we have a really good program where we turn the vehicles, in, and we have an auction company that comes and surveys them, then puts them on a national auction. And I think last year we probably made somewhere on the water side of things. We got rid of a number of pieces of equipment, probably took in, well over 100,000 or close to $100,000. And I don't think that this sale, well, there's some police vehicles and the school got rid of some stuff, but typically, we have half a dozen vehicles that we dispose of that way, once a year or so.
okay. And does that go into free cash or does that go
It will
to?
go into the general fund for the tax paying end of things. And then in the revenue generating departments, it goes back into our undesignated. So if we sold the vehicle, and then it goes into the undesignated.
Other questions?
Nope.
And just briefly, can you go over supplies?
Yeah, I mean, so supplies, obviously, a big entity, and we use things, but be looking at, I can give you specifics if you want. I'm just trying to find my list here for supplies. You'd be looking at things like American Builders, American Safety, Astrochemical, Ford and Remington, another chemical company, Cintas, that's, for non-contracted type of, first aid kits and such. A lot of that is chemicals, to be honest with you. Home Depot, Wayne Construction, for asphalt and whatnot. Yeah, there's probably half a dozen chemical companies here. Rockies, EJP, Grangers, Univar. I can give you, do you want numbers? Like EJP, for example, that's, 35,000 in one account and then another 3,000 in another. Grangers is 3,000. Rockies, a couple thousand. Paladine Chemicals, 13,000. Home Depot, 10,000. Holland Chemicals, 3,000. Condi Holdings, that's for polyphosphate, that's 15,000. Borden Remington is 4,000, that's another chemical. So Astrochemical is 6,000. So the majority of this is chemicals.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And obviously chemicals are needed in the treatment of water.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the appropriation of $2,459,310 from Department of Public Works Water Division undesignated account to the following: $2,091,110 to purchase of services account, $168,200 to supplies account, and $200,000 to equipment vehicles account. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
Yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, and the last one. So this is submitting for approval the recently signed Westfield Police Officers Coalition contract, which will become effective July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. And I'll hand it over to the chief and he can explain the contract.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a handle on what we're looking for here. This was my first contract as chief. Captain Petoniak has done the work with the numbers. So I'm just here to answer. We're here to answer whatever questions you may have.
So you'd rather have this in the form of questions? Okay,
Or we can present the whole, what we have so far, just in there, if that's what you want us to do. I just hadn't gone through this process before, but we're prepared to just give you the general overview of the budget. Is that what you're looking for?
yeah, that sounds good, like a general overview.
Okay, I'm gonna pass it on to Captain Petoniak.
Sure. I don't know if you were able to open up your email. I had sent all of you just a briefing on what the 8 new officers that'll have degrees coming onto this contract for the 10% in fiscal year 23. So there'll be 8 officers that have degrees outside of CJ that will be coming onto this contract. The total will cost the city for that, just those 8 officers for fiscal year 23 will be $52,089.67. And that would be the 10% raise covering those degrees. And I said, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, you can look, like I said, I sent that to you. In the fiscal year 24, those degrees will still have 8 officers into that. That will go up to 15% bump in that year, and that'll be $79,697.18. And then the last and final year of that contract, it'll go up to 20%, which would be $108,388.17. Right now, for the education portion of the fiscal year 23 budget, it'll be $919,167.79. And that's with the 2% raised figured into the patrolman salary. And the step increase at step 9, the 85 cents, that is also figured into that calculation. So the patrolman's education by themselves with the raise will be $633, $237.08. And the supervisors right now will not have a contract because they haven't settled one yet. Will be $285, $930.71. Again, that's with no new contract written in. That's what puts it at the 919 number. All the rest of the people that are getting education incentive have CJ degrees, except for those 8 who currently would not get anything prior to this contract.
Okay.
And those 8 individuals already had those degrees, so they've done nothing new to earn this payment, correct?
That is correct. I don't think any of them have anything new on there, no. Like I said, some were psychology degrees, business management, a couple psychologies, poli-sci, operations management, business management, military history. That looks like it pretty much. like I say, currently they don't receive any money for that.
And can you just give us the dates for the public that's listening, of when this contract was ratified and agreed to by the previous administration?
Sure. It looks like it was signed off on 12/21 by the coalition president, John Blaszczak. The previous mayor, Don Humison, on 12/22/21, and law department on 12/21/21.
And this request came in from the previous administration, correct? It's not from Mayor McCabe.
That is correct.
I have a question. What's the rationale for picking those majors?
I don't think they picked any real majors. I think they just, every degree that was out there that was a bachelor's degree. They were looking at, they felt that an officer was more learned if he had a degree, even though it might not be in CJ, but, certain degrees, you have to do a lot more reports, report writing. And, if you had a degree in English, obviously there's not on there, but, it's helpful in the job. And the way the union was looking at it, they were looking at that, the way things are going nowadays, you might not want just to have CJ majors. It's nice to have a psychology degree or a health service degree or some type of, other degree out there. So it gives you a little different look at life. And that was part of the thought pattern. And I know Jack Fitzgerald, when he was looking at it too, I mean, obviously we're looking at recruiting people to come into the Westfield Police Department. We have a great reputation. And, obviously with this, they would have a great contract too. And we've already recruited 2 people to come over, one from Chicopee, one from Northampton. And we're looking to have one more come over to our department. So when they come over, we don't have to send them to an academy. They would have a short FTO program and we put them on the street quickly. Because right now, to hire a new officer, it goes 6 months in the academy and then 14 weeks of FTO before they hit the street, as a working officer by themselves. So it's a long program. And I think the city was looking at that, like, if we added these extra degrees on there, it might pull some people that aren't strictly just a CJ performance degree, that they have a more well-rounded thought pattern of life in general. So I think that's part of the reason why they put that on there.
It certainly helps with retention as well. Typically with each police exam, which also includes the state police exam, they're both in the same, both given at the same test site. And typically we lose 2 officers every time there's an exam. We lose 2 officers to the state police. So we had one officer that we have 2 officers they're looking at now that they're willing to take both of them. One officer is willing to stay here. He's very tempted to stay here due to the education incentive. So we've kind of already seen what that can do for us as far as retention. But recruitment and retention, I would say, are the biggest things that we need to do. It's there's people that don't want to come into this profession, and we're losing officers nationally every day.
So Chief, I'm going to probably ask you an unfair question, but this obviously doesn't even take effect until July 1st. You're going to have to be preparing your fiscal 23 budget, and you're going to have some pretty serious increases just on contracts, which has given you nothing new. So understanding historically what your percentage increase has kind of typically been in the police department, how are you looking to cover this pretty significant added expense?
It's going to be more money in the budget. There's no other way around it.
I mean, luckily we've had some retirements though, at people at the top step. There were, a lot of them had a master's degree, so they were making the 25%, because that was in the old contract. At a certain point that changed, but we have a lot of officers that were top step that have retired. So, I mean, obviously over the next 5 years, that's a little bit of savings for us, but obviously everything catches up with you at the end. So,
we had a clause in there where we were getting double time. Officers were getting double time every time they were held over. and didn't want to work the shift. So we were at least able to get rid of that in the contract, where now if you get held over, it's only on 2 different holidays, or
Yeah.
I think 2 different
Christmas.
holidays. If you get held over on Christmas or Thanksgiving, as opposed to what we do now is every day of the week. If you get held over or you're forced over, you were getting double time. So we have eliminated that. I don't know what kind of savings it's going to be, but I think it's going to be significant. Is it going to cover the majority of this? No.
Is there any way you could make a projection of what those savings would be so we could have some clearer numbers to make the decision on?
For the forced overtime and the college, the degrees that we're not paying on now.
Well, more the forced overtime. You just said that might be a savings. So.
Yeah, I can figure it out. The other thing too, I know that you had forwarded that paperwork from Vicky, and I was looking at the shift differential, and I come up with 29,000. She has 30,000. So I mean, that's definitely in the ballpark of what's the increase there. So there, like you said, there is going to be some increases in there, obviously, from the.
In a month or so ago, we dropped the minimum manning from 7 to 6. It's been working out so far pretty well. It's still more than Holyoke does, or excuse me, Holyoke does, or West Springfield does. Anybody that's surrounding us, obviously, except Springfield. We still have more officers on the street than per shift than they do. So haven't gotten a lot of issues doing that. That's been saving us money as well.
And currently we have, 7 officers in the academy. I have 3 on long-term military leave, and I just had 3 people retire in January. So that's part of the reason why we had to do that, because, and we are so short-staffed right now because of that we pulled people out of the Detective Bureau and community policing to backfill them into patrol, because we just don't have the people here.
So I guess kind of following up on the chair's question, I mean, I've done enough of these budgets that there's always an impact. It's never just, we're going to have these increases over here and there's no consequences, because I haven't seen too many municipal budgets in my lifetime that all of a sudden gave you all of the increase that you're going to need in your department, even just to be status quo, never mind trying to move forward, because it's just going to end up being too big of a number. So I just think there's some consequences. I got to tell you, and this is not anybody necessarily on this call now, but I think the timing on this is horrendous, that it came in, with a few days left in the prior administration. I really have a problem with that. Although I will also say I balance that off with, I think that the administration and, the mayor ought to be able to have the right to bargain in budget. I just worry that the budget implications to this are pretty significant. And I would not want to have to see you as the chief come back in before us in order to get your budget to work, to have to lay people off or not buy some piece of equipment that you need or some other service that you need to provide to the general public to cover this, where we're really not getting anything new here. I understand about the incentives on hiring, but there's nothing new here. And the timing on this is just awful. I think there'll be a motion which isn't here tonight, but, look to, is there some way that once somebody's in a lame duck position in the mayor's office, that they don't have the ability to execute on contracts? Because this one raises some questions, I think, for you, Chief, in particular, next year on budget time. So I would at least like to see the analysis of what the impact of this is going to be overall to the budget. And I know you're going to start that exercise shortly. We're not under a time crunch here, but I think that that's a concern.
I would agree, Counselor.
So, sorry.
Well, go ahead. If you can, I yield. Go ahead. Councilor.
Go ahead. Because I was going to say, if we're going to look for more information, I would move to table it and hold it here, but I'm not going to make that motion because you had questions.
Yeah, just more of a statement, and I agree with Councilor Sullivan 100% on this issue. But more importantly, I've been here a long time, which I've said a lot of times, and there's been years where we don't even see these contracts. They've been, through the budget process, that's when we have the ability to look at them. This in particular is another one in front of me. I've always argued the point that I'm not sure if we should even be seeing this kind of contract in front of us for the up or down. I know there's been some emails. I know I did get Jerome's email. I haven't opened that up. I know the chair also sent me something on some casework and so forth about process. And I did have an opportunity to read Counselor Fitzgerald's process on how it all etched out. I'd like a little time to digest that, but more importantly, I still am not convinced that this needs to be in front of us as far as approval or rejection of this particular contract. We do say yes or no is what I'm saying. What I'm seeing is we say yes or no to this contract. We're not in negotiations. We can't say we don't like things. We can't say we like things, all that piece. But I'd like to have a further conversation with our law department about the process. I do agree with Counselor Sullivan that the timing of this doesn't seem right to me, but you know, again, no rules, no laws in place that can't prevent that from happening. But I would like a little bit more time to digest the legal piece to this, as well as some of the retirement implications, you know, long-term costs of the particular piece, if we're going to end up saying yes or no to this. So I would definitely entertain a motion.
So can you, before you do that, I just wanted to be clear in my previous statement, I will support administration's ability to enter into a contract and not get renegotiated or second guessed on the council floor. I think that's dangerous, but I do have some real budget concerns really for the police department for next fiscal year because of these numbers. So if you're going to make a motion to table, I would support that. I did want to thank the chair for you know, having this out here tonight for a first full discussion. So thank you, Madam Chair.
I would make a motion to table till our next finance meeting, which I guess we could throw a date out at the end of the meeting, but
I would second.
A motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews-Kane, yes. So motion to table passes 3-0. And that brings us to the end. So thank you to the two of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate it.
And last item on the agenda is any item not reasonably anticipated for this meeting.
None.
Okay, so I can entertain a motion.
To adjourn.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Counselor Bean,
yes.
Counselor Sullivan,
Yes.
Counselor Matthews-Kane, yes. Motion passes 3-0.